In this lesson, we're going to learn about how to use percentages. Specifically, we're going to look at calculating percentages and using them in calculations. So there are two types of problems where we have percentages. Sometimes we're given a percentage, and sometimes we're actually going to calculate something about the percentage. So when we're given a percentage, it will usually say 92% or 26%, and whenever it has that, you can always know that it's out of 100 because that's what a percentage is based on. You could actually calculate it and put it out of any number, but the easiest thing to do is whenever you see a percentage is so like 92% becomes 92 out of 100. We'll also have some times where we need to calculate percentages or calculate different values related to percentage. And so this is what we'll use when we calculate percentage. And this equation is always the same, where we have the percent equals part over the whole times 100. Let's look at an example. What is 35% of 85? The first thing we want to do is get our equation. So percent equals part over a whole times 100. And then we have to start plugging in the values to see which one is missing. So we know the 35%, that's usually the easiest one to find. And now we have to decide whether 85 is the part or the whole. So we have to look at the context of the problem. It says, what is 35% of 85? And that lets us know that the 85 is the whole value. So we can say part over 85 times 100. Now we're simply using algebra to solve for the value for the part. So we can divide both sides by 100. So we get 0.35 equals part over 85. Then we multiply both sides by 85, and then we find the value of the part is 30. So when we look at our original problem, we're going to expect that the part, whatever it may be, is going to be less than 85. If we round that 85 up to 90 and say, well, what's a third of 90? That's around 30. And so this answer is, in fact, reasonable. Let's look at a different one. 48 is what percent of 75? Again, we're going to start with our equation. Percent equals part over a whole times 100. In this case, we're not given the percent, that's what we're solving for, and so it says 48 is what percent? So 48 is the part, 75 is the whole, so we can then calculate the value and find 64%. And this seems reasonable. 48 is a little more than half of 75, so 64 is a reasonable answer. If we got a value over 100, that would not be reasonable. Next, 18 is 41% of what value? Like the previous examples, we start with percent equals part over a whole times 100. We know the percentage, and now we have to figure out is 18 is the part or if 18 is the whole. And so when we read the problem, we see 18 is 41%, so it's saying 18 is that fraction amount, that percentage of some value, and the what value is the whole. So we know 18 over a whole times 100 is going to be equal to 41%. We divide both sides by 100. We multiply by the whole, so 0.41 times whole, whatever the value is, equals 18. And then we divide both sides by 0.41. And what we find is the whole is going to be equal to 44. And again, we want to ask, is the answer reasonable? And when we look at the value, we would expect a number greater than 18, a little less than half, and so half of 44 will be 22. 18 is a little less than half, so our answer is reasonable.